Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Brandis Daniel. And we have with us Miss Lisa Price. Hello.
Miss Lisa Price. Oh my goodness. Carol's daughter, but everyone's sister, right?
Yes. Lisa, you're like all of our girlfriends in our head. You don't know it, but you are.
Yes, you have been such an influence for all of us. And seriously, the great girlfriend, the sister, just the kindred spirit that we've all shared for so many years. So we're so glad to have you today.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, what a pleasure. Lisa, tell us what's been going on with you recently. Like, how are you and what's going on in your world?
I'm good. I am very, very busy. I have traveled more in the last month of April than I have the 3 months prior, all added together.
Oh, wow.
So pretty much everywhere. And I have another trip on Thursday, and then I have one next week, and I have one the week after that, and then the week after that. And May is actually lighter than April was, even though I have a trip that I have to go on every week.
Oh, my goodness.
My middle son is graduating from high school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he in my mind is still my baby because I have 2 boys and then I have a daughter. So my daughter is technically the baby, but like he's my baby son.
Right.
But you know, he's 18 and he's taller than I am, and like he's graduating. Like I don't understand what's happening.
Wow. So we have little bitty ones, Lisa.
Okay.
I have a 6-month-old.
Yes, and I have a 7 and a 4-year-old.
Okay. My daughter is 9. She's as little as it gets in my house.
Wow. You got quite a range going then.
Yeah, and she'll be 10 in July, but it's like she's going on 35.
Let me ask you, is she holding business meetings? Because my 6-month-old is always in my conference calls, and I'm like, oh my God, when she gets a little bit older, she's going to be like holding meetings.
Yes, Becca does that. She sits at my desk. She writes checks.
I love it.
I have to put the checkbook away because she actually has written actual checks before.
Oh my gosh.
But she writes them on pieces of paper. And she gave me this envelope the other day, and it said that my share of the earnings on vanilla truffle was $6,897.
I love it.
Oh my God.
I love it.
That's hilarious.
My royalty check.
I love that.
Oh my God, that is so cool how they picking up
That's
on the
awesome.
business.
They do. And when she was really little, she would like hold her toy, anything that was sort of shaped like a phone, she would pretend was a phone, even though it wasn't a phone. And she would sit there and have like these conversations, and I realized that she was mimicking things that she heard me say on the phone.
Oh.
Hey, no, that's not what we said we were going to ship. We have to ship that email. I told you. And I was like, oh my God.
I love that.
Like, you think they're not paying attention because they're like, you know, watching Nickelodeon or something like that. And they totally are paying attention.
Wow.
Wow, that's so amazing.
And how old is your eldest son?
Forrest is 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have all kind of wisdom flowing through your veins.
Totally.
My goodness. Okay, so so your travel between travel, work, and family, and then your husband and so forth, how are you taking care of Lisa?
Soul Cycle.
Ah.
I started going in October, and I love it, and it really helps to keep me sane. And, you know, when mom says she's going to class, mom is going to class. And I can walk into that classroom and I don't have to think for 45 minutes. All I have to do is ride.
Nice.
Love it.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
I love that.
Have you always had a thing, a something that was your thing that kind of kept you grounded, like Soul Cycle prior to that?
Not as consistent as I've been able to be with Soul Cycle. I liked, well, not liked working out, but I liked the way that working out would make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
But it was harder to, build in the time to travel to a place and then get to the place and then do the workout. And there's something about the way that Soul Cycle is set up, and then being that I live in New York, there's so many different places that I can go to, where it makes it a lot easier for me to stick to it, because I can plan my schedule at the top of the week. 12 noon, your classes open up for registration, 12 noon every Monday. So you can sit there on Monday and plan out everything for the next 7 days. So you know exactly where you're going to be, what time you're going to be there, and you're in and out. So I don't have to think about it. So, I've done yoga before. I've trained with weights and I've worked with trainers, but I've been able to be much more consistent with Soul Cycle just because of how it's set up, and the fact that I don't have to think about it. I like I said, I walk in, I clip onto the bike, and I just follow the instructor.
Wow, I love that. And don't you need something in your life that you don't have to think about?
Whether you have a business or not, even if you have a job and you have a family, you're constantly making decisions. We had this entire conversation in my house this morning because we have this huge chalkboard on the wall in the kitchen. And the chalkboard has been there for years. And it was so that I could write everything on it that was going on, because I would travel for work so much. This way, everybody could look at it and say, oh, so-and-so has a tutor at 5, and this one has a play at 4. And, don't forget Tuesday is a doctor's appointment. It would just all be up there on the board. Now that everybody's older and they kind of keep track of their schedules, it's more where mom is, what day I get home, and then who has the kitchen and who has the trash on what nights.
Wow.
We're dealing with a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If I don't update it on Sunday night, everybody acts like they don't know the dishes have to get done. I didn't do it last night. I was tired, but the sink is still full of dishes. They're not going to wash themselves. Whole conversation about, can't you figure out who did it Saturday night and then the other person does it Sunday? Yeah, you have to write it down.
Lisa, why I love this so much? Because you're living it, right? And we're kind of spectators. And I think sometimes when people see like where you are, they think, oh, she's, jet setting and she has somebody to do all this stuff for her. And just to hear you say this, it's like, you're just like us.
Yeah, I mean, I am fortunate that I do have a housekeeper that comes to my house, but she doesn't live there,
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like do it. And this is what I have to explain to my kids all the time. Like, she's here to do the big stuff that I don't have time to do. I don't have time to scrub the bathroom tiles and clean the toilet, but, pick up the plate and take it to the sink. How about that?
I love that.
Break the food into the trash, put plate in sink,
I love that. Now, how do you think like your life has changed? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Sybil and I are both entrepreneurs, and I think we both have a vision of kind of how our life is gonna be once we quote unquote make it. How has your life changed since you like were in the super, super duper grind mode with Carol's daughter to now?
It's really interesting because I know what you mean by that, but you sort of stay in the grind mode. The grind just becomes different. So, for example, I traveled to Houston this weekend to do an event. In the past, I would have been the person who got to the event a day early, made sure all the packages were delivered, set up the table early in the morning at the store, and then go in the bathroom, change my clothes, and come out like a new person. And
Right.
So I didn't have to arrive early to set it up. But while other people are doing that, there's other aspects of the company that I have to focus on. So I might be emailing, I might be writing a blog, I may be answering interview questions, doing things on social media. So there's other things that you're doing, and I think the work becomes less physical and it becomes more cerebral. And it's more constant, because there's other people to take care of that minutia that you used to have to do, but then you're sort of managing it all and kind of making sure that it's flowing and being present when you need to be present. And then you learn from going through that grind, you learn when to shut it off, you learn when to say no, and you learn when you have to like take your own time. And
Lisa, sorry, go ahead.
Grind.
When you started out, so we know that you made a transition from your television career, but you started the stories as it's written. You started in the kitchen. Did you always see Carol's Daughter becoming what it has become when you started with your? No, okay.
I thought that it would be a way that I would be able to make a living and contribute to my household, and maybe be at home when my kids were smaller, and kind of work from home, because my husband and I, we didn't have those kind of careers where like one of us could just choose to not work. So I didn't think of it in the grand scheme that it has become. I used to dream about it, though. I would have dreams about it being much bigger than I envisioned it being. And I used to think that the dreams were interesting. And, they didn't come true literally, more figuratively. So I guess something in me knew that it would be bigger.
Yeah. Something you said about the grind never stops. I think in our heads, we think that at some point we're gonna be able to sit on a beach and sip pina coladas.
You might for 5 or 6 days. You go back.
I know. I think everybody thinks like when I make it, like I'm just gonna be able to chill. But the truth is, when you make it, the grind continues.
Yeah, and then it depends on what your end goal is. I mean, if you look at someone like Oprah, right? We could say that Oprah has definitely made it. Oprah doesn't have to work at this point. She's choosing to work,
right?
But she can choose what she wants to work on. So maybe, and I'm just imagining, maybe hers today feels like less of a grind than when she did 2 television shows 5 days a week, because now she can choose the films that she wants to produce or the plays that she wants to produce, what television shows she wants to be involved in. But she's still grinding. Beyonce, I mean, come on.
Right.
Oh, quick question. Did you learn those tracks? I saw you are on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
You made me simple. You got to give our girlfriends the backstory.
So I was on Lisa's Instagram, and she said that she needs 72 hours because she has 13 tracks to memorize. So I cracked up. Because you have to be prepared for the concert.
I reposted that from someone else's feed because we like having the same thought again, and I just thought that it was so funny. I was like, oh yeah, I have to put this up. And that timing was right, right after Prince passed. And ever since his passing, I have played nothing but his music, but like every 5 hours or so, I interject Lemonade. I have not listened to anything else since then.
Wow.
I mean, complete sidetrack. It's a great body of work. It is a fantastic body of work.
It really is. It really is.
I'm so excited about the concert. I am.
Yeah, she's but perfect example of someone who is grinding hard. And it's not because she has bills to pay necessarily, or there just isn't enough money in the bank. It gets to this point where you start to realize what your purpose is and what your craft is and what message do you want to leave behind and what art do you want to create, and so it becomes passion work.
So yeah, it feels different. So yeah, because at a different level, I guess you have to make those adjustments.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's sink or swim.
Mm-hmm.
I in the beginning, it is that it's like, okay, this event has to pay off, because if it doesn't, how am I going to pay the bills, and how am I going to do this, and how am I going to do that? And it's very like everything is riding on every single thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's more about the overall success of the brand and trajectory of the brand, but not the personal, oh my God, how am I going to pay the mortgage? So that stress, when you've made it, and I'm using air quotes, I know you can't see me, when you've made it, you can hopefully alleviate your personal stress, and then you can just focus on the business, because the business always has to, like, you always have to do better than you did the year before. And then I try to manage myself personally where I'm not overextended. I could have a bigger house, I could live in a different neighborhood, but then I might have a mortgage, and then I'd worry.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
so I don't have to worry about that.
So how do you think we stay, or how do you stay just mentally prepped? Like, because it's a lot. I mean, you're managing, marriage, which that's a whole thing, and keeping that relationship loving and spicy. And then you've got children at different stages. And then you've got, I'm sure you have your girlfriends and kind of like that personal space. Plus you've got this like amazing business. How do you just stay mentally in the right place?
It's not an easy thing, and I'm not good at it all the time. Like right now, I have aunties that I need to call, that I haven't checked in with in a while because I've been traveling so much. And then they always know when you're tired, and you can't fake it with them.
Right.
It's like, oh no, I'm fine. No, you're not. What's going on?
Right.
So,
Don't you love that?
yeah. So I've kind of like avoided those conversations, but I have to have them. And I try now not to balance things, because I've understood, through 23 years of doing this, that it's not all ever going to get done. There's always something that's not done, and it's okay. And do my husband and I need a date night right now? Absolutely. Will we get one within the next 10 days? Probably not.
Right.
But or that I put it on the calendar so that it does happen, or we'll go for a getaway by ourselves for a few days. And it's just kind of like remembering when those things have to happen. And sometimes you have to put it on a calendar, not because it's part of your to-do list, but just because you need that reminder.
Yeah.
I have to do this.
Right.
And then I feel like technology helps me keep up with my girlfriends better, because I may not always have time for dinner or long phone conversations, but I can text and, send them pictures and, just randomly, hey, good morning, beautiful. Miss you so much. Can't wait till I'm in LA and we can hang out, and you just do the best that you can. And you have to be very forgiving, because you can walk around feeling guilty all the time because you haven't done enough of this or enough of that. And at the end of the day, like, no one's perfect. Like you can't do everything. And then you have to remember to take care of yourself first, because if you're not healthy, if you're not eating right, if you're not sleeping, you're not going to be good for anybody.
Absolutely.
And that's something that, is so true and real. Moms, we can definitely take take that note and post it everywhere, because we tend to put that on the back burner a lot of times. Let alone having business that also calls on you so heavily.
Yeah, this is true. I was at a conference once years ago, and a woman was speaking, and she's an executive at IBM, and she said that she had come home late one night and her family had breakfast for dinner. They basically had cereal. And she said that she was like stressing out about cooking and doing this and doing that. And they were like, Mom, it's okay. We'll just have breakfast. We'll have breakfast for dinner. It's not a big deal. And she realized that the only person that it was a big deal to was her.
Yes.
And had to let it go because she said in the grand scheme of things, they eat 3 square meals every day. They always have their vegetables. They always have a protein. So this one night where she was not available to cook, her husband wasn't available to cook, they ate cereal. They're not going to be sick. They're not going to die,
Right, right.
And sometimes you just have to, so she was using it just as a metaphor of sometimes you just have to let that stuff happen and just not stress about it. Now, if it's, cereal 4 nights a week, then you have an issue.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
So Lisa, can we pivot a bit into this friendship part? Because as you may have known about us, Brandis and I are very big on one, celebrating the power of the tribe, celebrating what women can and have accomplished through our collective, but also helping other women kind of see that you want to keep quality and quality women around you, and you want to be a woman of caliber. So for you, in case you haven't known the level of virtual friendship that you've had,
exactly.
You play virtual girlfriend because when we wanted a tasteful representation of what we could have in terms of product in the market, your brand was there to provide that. And so it gave us a sense of self, a confidence that we had, and we could say, oh, I'm using Carol's Daughter. Have you heard of Carol's Daughter? And then this amazing woman that's behind it. And then for you to amplify the faces of the women that you did with the brand to represent us publicly was just fantastic. So it was. I mean, it was and is, and I think it continues to stand as a statue, not a monument, but really a statue for us in terms of this represents us in a beautiful way.
Yes.
But so in terms of being that bridge, because you've played a bridge in a lot of our heads, what do you think it is for you that has allowed you to be a bridge, to women like us, and then a bridge to women like Jada and Mary J, and then a bridge to women all across the world who have now connected with you?
I think it's because I've done the exact same thing with other people. So people will ask me about mentorship and who my mentors are. And a lot of the major mentors that I've had, I've not really had conversations with. I met Oprah before because I did her show, but that's the only time she and I met. And it was a very quick conversation separate from the conversation that we had during the show. Mm-hmm. But she was the person that I followed. She was someone that, before we had social media and we just had her television show every day, me being, a Black woman, and this Black woman is on television every day, and she's not, skinny, and she wasn't fair-skinned and, with the perfect hair and the perfect teeth and the perfect eyes. She was just a regular person who was on television talking about things that we could all relate to and that we could understand. It wasn't conversation that was above our head. Mm-hmm. And it was very educated and elevated conversation and funny. And, she cried, on television, and it was real tears. And she was the only one. Today we have Wendy Williams. We have Oprah with her own network. We have, a diverse group of hosts on The View. We have The Real. We have a lot more people that we can look at and go to. And with social media, we can follow them in that place. But, when I was younger, you had to search for people. Mm-hmm. and read articles about them and read autobiographies about them and learn from them. I remember when I was trying to be a better leader in my company, because I would get this advice that I needed to be, for lack of a better term, more bitchy.
Mm-hmm.
I was too complacent. I was too passive with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a confrontational person. And I didn't know how to be that kind of strong where you set that tone of what you will and will not take. I thought that you just had to be nice all the time. And I didn't understand how nice gets, misconstrued to be weak.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching when the OWN network first began watching the last season of the Oprah Winfrey Show. The show had ended, and then the network started, and there was this whole series that came on every Friday night.
I remember that.
In 25. And I watched her be who she was off stage and then be her on stage. And that flow of energy and the way that she spoke to people and the way they spoke to her, I could visualize, because it's hard for me to just visualize in my head. I kind of have to see things. And seeing her function that way, I understood how I could be myself, but still be a leader. That I have to be, for lack of a better term, mean or bitchy to be the boss.
Mm-hmm. That's so good.
And it was the beginning of me being able to find my voice. So she mentored me without us ever sitting down and talking about it, just watching her. And many years ago, when I was building the company, I used to have these dreams about her. And one dream, we were sitting in an office somewhere, and she said, I just wanted to talk to you because I want to make sure that you're ready.
Wow.
For what? And she said, ready for what's to come. You're going to have a lot of work that you have to do. You're going to have a lot of responsibility, but it's all going to be good. And I just want to talk to you to make sure that you're ready. And I didn't, I had no clue what that dream meant and what she was talking about. But then as the years go by, you start to put the information together and, understand it better. So perhaps because I looked at people like her and like Gail and Mary J. Blige and Jada Pinkett Smith and Martha Stewart and Goldie Hawn and, all of these women that I've learned from without necessarily having conversations with them, not with all of them. Maybe I'm able to do that for other people because I understand that position.
Wow.
That is so good.
Wow.
So good. We run into a lot through the Great Girlfriends, a lot of women who are saying, we haven't seen the mentors, and where are the mentors and mentors, and we're saying, most of my mentors have been virtual, such as such as what you've experienced, and Brandon's the same, is that you see something of value that someone is doing that gets great results, and you replicate it where you can in your own life, and you see their example, and you capture a model that works for you, and you keep doing that until you reach the place where you feel like you've positioned yourself for the success you're searching for.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I used to look at Martha Stewart's catalogs when she used to have a catalog business, and she sold glasses and dishware and little furniture pieces and kits, like DIY kits. And I would look at how she would dress a table within the catalog, or her cookbooks, the way that she would, when she catered, she used to do this thing called a cornucopia table, where the serving platters were food, and then there was the fruit. So you could pretty much eat everything, like using a head of cabbage that's been dug out to hold the dip, and then have all the vegetables around it. Like those were things that she did before a lot of other people did it. Mm-hmm. And I learned how to merchandise my booth when I would sell at a craft fair or flea market from what I would see in her books, and incorporating knickknacks and flowers and pieces of lace and things like that into the display, instead of just putting the products on a shelf and putting it up for sale. I knew that there was something to what she was doing. I I could see that, and I could, take pieces of it and learn from it. And then I remembered being in a meeting when I worked in television production, and someone said, oh, they want to paint the set kind of this Martha Stewart green. And there were about 12 people in the meeting, and all 12 people knew what that meant.
Wow. Wow.
94. So this is a lot of years ago. And I remember thinking, that's genius marketing, that every single person in this room knows what a Martha Stewart green is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I did Martha Stewart's show. I said hello to her. I shook her hand, but we've never had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But she mentored me just by doing what she does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic.
All the time. You don't always have to meet your mentors. You might meet them, but you don't always have to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's incredible. What do you, when I know you get tons of women asking you lots of questions and tips and different things, like what are the things that you wish every woman knew?
How important they are, how valuable they are, how they should not dismiss themselves, how they shouldn't quiet their voices.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really knowing your worth on both ends of the spectrum, because I meet a lot of people who think they are worth a lot more than they actually are, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet people who are amazingly talented and fantastic, and they diminish themselves all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And both are just as detrimental. It's possibly more detrimental when you overvalue who you are. I think you can get into more trouble that way. Because at some point you're going to have to deliver something.
Yes.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
But just knowing who you are and what it is that you bring to the table that makes you unique, is super important.
That is so true. I love that. And you said not diminishing the voice, like being willing and able to stand and be vocal and know that your voice matters. That's a huge piece of it. I love that.
Because when you're building your business, a lot of times you get, I know I did this. I would feel like, oh God, I have to tell the story again? Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you, especially if you're a person who doesn't like to talk about themselves, I feel like I was bragging. I would feel like I wasn't being humble. I would feel like, don't they know this already? Do I really have to tell this again? And then you find yourself in a situation and you're in a marketing meeting and a retailer is sitting there and somebody on your team begins to tell what they think is the story of a particular product. And you're sitting there like, where the hell did you get that from?
Right.
Can't say anything because, you're making a presentation to this retailer and you don't want to let them know that like people on your team don't even know what they're talking about. So you go and talk to them later and find out that, oh, so-and-so told me that they read somewhere that you said that it was da-da-da-da. And I said, well, why didn't you come and ask me? Oh, well, I didn't want to bother you. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I have to tell the story and I have to let people know that they can talk to me and they can bother me and they can knock on my door. Because if I don't make that effort, they're not going to do it. And then they're going to be spreading the wrong story. And then the DNA of your brand is just totally lost because no one knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, it's not so boring. All of a sudden, you're not uncomfortable telling your story because if you don't tell it, who else is going to tell it? It has to be told accurately.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, do you think or do you feel that Lisa Price and Carol's daughter are now in a space where they're two separate brands, or are they still one and the same?
Two separate brands. I've always compared Carol's daughter to being like one of my first children. Mm-hmm. So technically she's 23 years old.
Okay.
The 23-year-old is a version of her mother, an evolution of her mother, but she's not her mother.
Yes.
She's her own person at that point. And I'm still there to guide and counsel and give advice, but she makes her own decisions.
Oh, that is so good.
Love that. That is so good. I had a friend tell me once, she said, Brandis, you're still trying to keep your business as a baby. You got to let this child go off to school.
Yeah.
And that was like such a game changer for me, just hearing that.
Mm-hmm. It's very much like that. Like I look at our, Instagram feeds, and everything that's on the Carol's Daughter Instagram feed, I totally agree with. I know what's going to be up there. I know what the cadence is and what the calendar is. But it has absolutely nothing to do with what I put on mine. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to put something crazy on mine. Like, you're not going to see naked people on mine or, cursing or something like that. But I can express how I feel and what's moving me. And I can talk about, loss, and I can talk about something political that I'm angry about, where it wouldn't be appropriate for the Carol's Daughter page to do that, because that's a business, and it could look as if you're trying to use controversy to sell, finish something that's going on, So when Prince passed away, Carol's Daughter put up 2 posts. They probably put up 2 posts because they know how much their founder loved him, so they did 2 instead of 1.
Right.
But hasn't stopped. It's been 9-10 days. I haven't stopped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's okay, because we're not the same. It wouldn't be appropriate for Carol's Daughter to do that, but Lisa can do that.
Right. I love that, Lisa.
Yeah.
And I know we have to jump off, but are there any last words you want to leave for our great girlfriends? We have great girlfriends all over the world. We have them in Australia, in Croatia, in Russia.
We're reaching 60 countries, and we've reached now like 21,000 downloads on every Wednesday. So we're really excited about where we're headed, and everything that you said just poured so much into us. My God. So I know our girlfriends are going to value it as well.
Excellent. I just feel like, I'm going to be 54 on May 18th.
Woo!
Nice.
You look amazing.
In all of those years, I have seen a lot. And we are in such a magical place right now. I feel with, Black Girl Magic. It's so different. Like I'm excited to see what my daughter is going to be like when she's 22, because of what she's able to see today compared to what I saw when I was her age. I didn't have a lot of Black women in media that I could look at. I had Diane Carroll, I had Diana Ross. And that was kind of it.
Wow.
And we can have Nicki Minaj on one end of the spectrum, and Chloe and Halle on another end of the spectrum, and Beyonce somewhere in between, and Ava DuVernay and Kerry Washington. Just all of these amazing people that are so different. When images of Black women and men in the 60s and 70s were promoted, you always had to be positive. You kind of had to be perfect. You couldn't have blemishes. You couldn't have scars. You couldn't have addictions. You couldn't have issues. You couldn't need counseling. You had to be perfect, because everything about us was painted so negative that whoever was put up on a pedestal could not have an issue ever.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're allowed to be flawed.
Yes.
Like if you think about a show like Sex and the City, people used to complain that Sex and the City didn't have a Black friend on it. I remember women saying that, even though tons of African American women watched Sex and the City, it was sort of like disappointing that there wasn't a Black woman on that show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think society, African American society, would have been more accepting of 4 white women having sex in the city than it would have been with 4 Black women.
Absolutely.
Because we just didn't have that luxury to be imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't, and that's one of the beautiful things about a show like Girlfriends.
Yes.
So
yes. I miss Girlfriends.
Being Mary Jane. Like I
yes.
heard people complain about that show. I've heard people complain about Carrie's character, Olivia Pope, on Scandal because she's committing adultery and that's not a positive image. It's because we're flawed.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think when we can accept ourselves flaws and all, it's how we get even stronger and even further ahead. So I just feel like this is just such a magical time. The expressions, the images, the way that we can portray ourselves. We can't control it in all avenues of media, but the social media feed that's out there for us is just remarkable.
Wow.
And it just, I think it changes the way that people feel about themselves. That there's images that will bring me to tears because I think about how amazing it would have been for me to see that when I was 17.
Yes.
But imagine the impact it has on someone that looks at it and says, well, that happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Wow.
That's so good. Yeah, our daughters will know that our truth is imperfect and it's good. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I hear people say today, the way that you say you're going to the gym, you'll hear someone say, oh, I have to see my therapist on Friday.
Yes.
And they're not ashamed of it.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
It's not this secret thing that they're doing that they don't tell anybody about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic.
I'm such a huge therapy pusher. Lisa.
Yeah.
My husband is like, really? You gonna tell everybody to go to therapy? Like, yeah.
She sent me. She's like, you need to have an hour with Liz, and I went. Liz and I had an hour. We sure did. We did.
It's like when you go into the gym and you just turn it over to the person who's teaching. You don't have
Absolutely.
to figure it all out. You don't have to be the problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
You can admit that you don't understand and you don't know what to do and you feel powerless. And there's very few places sometimes that you get to do that.
Yes.
That's
especially when you're running your own business. You don't get to sit in front of your staff and say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
But
No.
the is that you don't know what the hell you're doing half the time.
That's so true.
Yeah. And they're looking at you for the answer, and you're like, I don't know.
That's so true.
It's very true.
I love that. Lisa, this has been absolutely incredible.
Yes.
Oh my God, this has been so good.
Yes.
I'm glad. It's been good for me too. It's a nice way to start off the week.
Yes, the girlfriends are not ready. I'm so excited. So Great Girlfriends, this was like the most incredible Monday ever because Sybil and I got a chance to talk to Miss Lisa Price, which we're so excited about. And girlfriends, again, to all of you guys who are coming to the conference that we have in June, we thank you so much. We cannot wait to see you guys at our What Women Want conference, June 10th through 12th. Lisa, we got a conference coming up. So women, we cannot wait to see you guys there. We're super excited about our partners for the conference, which is Macy's and Prudential. And we have a few more incredible partners coming to the table. So thank you. So we just want to say thank you to our husbands. Thank you, Rich, babe.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kwaku and Lisa.
Thank you, Gordon.
Woo!
We got a dope crew of husbands, and we have to celebrate those guys. We thank you so much for holding it down for us. Thank you. And thank you to all of our girlfriends for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter. Make sure you check out our website at
thegreatgirlfriends.com,
our Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
Twitter,
_greatGFS.
and jump into our Facebook group, over 12,000 strong.
Yes, make sure you get in there.
Yes, and we're under the Great Girlfriends.
Absolutely.
Don't forget you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Blueberry. Be sure to post your questions, share with friends, keep
listening,
and keep being
a great girlfriend.
I'm Sybil.
I'm Brandis.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're signing off. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.